Hey y'all, howdy. Welcome to One for the Books. I'm Sandra Broadwell. So I know you're probably thinking, why are you just now putting your life and channel plans on at the very end of January? And for one, because it is never too late to reset your goals in life or on YouTube. For two, I did at the beginning of January put my reading goals for the year. So I'll link that here. So my reading goals are definitely tied into my channel goals and my TBR for the year. But also part of my approach to YouTube is slow and intentional. And so, yeah, I'm not trying to keep up with the Joneses, or at least I'm trying to keep myself away from that mentality. I'm not super concerned if I don't get a wrap up or if I don't get my things up at the same time that everyone else is doing it. I still think the content stands for itself no matter what time it's uploaded. So that's the mentality I'm trying to take into the year. So speaking of that, let's talk about my channel plans. And that kind of ties heavily into my life plans for 2023. I've mentioned a couple times on this channel already, but my husband and I, about halfway through 2023, are planning to quit our jobs and move into our van camper full-time for about a year. We will be hitting the road and traveling, and so starting in July or August this year, my content will shift pretty dramatically, and I'll be doing a lot more travel style content, similar to what I've already done with my California book packing adventure vlogs and things like that. So I'll link those here as well. My channel is still definitely going to maintain a bookish focus, but I am going to be doing a lot more of that kind of content as well. With me being unemployed for the second half of the year, I will have a lot more time to be reading more and to be doing a lot more YouTube content, which is going to be really fun and exciting. I'm also planning to write a lot more during that time. Writing is a big goal of mine in the upcoming year. So you'll probably see a lot more of me in the second half of the year than you did in the first half of 2023. I have managed to put up one video a week for all of December and January, and that's felt really good. I'm not sure if that's a schedule I can necessarily maintain between February and July, just because I anticipate my life getting a lot busier in that time, but we'll see. I will never put up less than 2 videos a month, which is what I was doing for most of 2022, and that pace worked out a lot for me and my busy lifestyle, but definitely in the second half of the year, I'm going to be doing a lot more. One of my channel goals for this year is to do at least 6 more interviews on my channel. I did 6 last year, and I really love that. Even though those videos don't do that well on my channel, they're really fun for me. I love networking and meeting new people and learning more about the bookish world and industry as a whole, and so that's something I plan to continue doing. I also really loved and got a really positive response on my Little Free Library bicycle tour that I did earlier this year, and so I would like to do more tour style videos, so I'm planning to do several of those in the upcoming year. Not necessarily of Little Free Libraries, but of other libraries and bookstores and things like that. And then as far as like subscribers, I do have a number in mind that would be really nice to get to this year, but I'm not going to speak it out loud because I can't control how many subscribers I have. I can only control the quality and quantity of the content that I put out. So I have consistently been putting out videos every Sunday at 9 a.m. So Sundays at 9 will be my upload schedule for at least the first half of the year. After that, things could change. I already talked about my reading goals in a different video, but this is heavily tied to that as far as some of my channel plans. One of the things that you might have noticed in my 2022 reading year in review data wrap up was that one of my intentions is to make sure I diversify my reading a bit more. And I mean that in terms of the diversity of the authors that I read from, because my reading in 2022 skewed pretty heavily towards white men. I want to make sure, especially because my reading isn't very diverse in terms of I don't branch out of my favorite genres very often. So I want to make sure at least within those genres that I am reading diversely. fantasy. So one of the ways that I've decided to make sure that I do that is to focus my reading in months that have certain themes. So I've assigned a theme to most of the months in the upcoming year. We'll see how well I can stick to those. For January, as you know, if you are a fantasy reader, Brandon Sanderson declared 2023 the year of Sanderson. Gotta appreciate the ego. He is one of the few authors that can really pull that off. I did not subscribe to his Kickstarter or anything like that, but I read the Mistborn Era 1 trilogy last January, February, and so I thought, since it is the year of Sanderson, that I would also kick off my January with the year of Sanderson. And so I have been reading Mistborn Era 2 to kick off the year of Sanderson as my January kind of theme. February is Black History Month, and so my goal is to not necessarily read exclusively Black authors, but to ensure that the majority of the books that I read in February are from Black authors. So that'll be really fun for this upcoming month. March is Women's History Month, so I will be reading at least the majority, if not exclusively, women authors, which should be a piece of cake. These aren't necessarily supposed to be challenges so much as just kind of fun themes for me to make the most out of, however I choose to do so. April is National Poetry Month. I'm not going to be reading like exclusively or even the majority of poetry because I don't think poetry should be consumed in sort of binge style, but I do have several collections of poetry that I would like to get to this year, and so I will read at least a couple of those in April. May is Asian American and Pacific Islander History Month, and so I want to make sure that I am reading Asian or Asian American authors for the majority of the books that I choose that month. June is Pride Month, so for Pride Month, I want to make sure that either the authors that I'm choosing from are LGBTQ+, or that the main protagonist of the story that I'm reading is an LGBTQ+ character. July and August, I don't have themes that I've set aside for those yet. I think those will be good months because July is the month where we're going to be really deconstructing our lives and putting everything into storage and getting everything together for our year out on the road. And so I'm not really sure what July is going to look like realistically for my life. So I don't really have a theme picked out for July. And August, I think it doesn't have a theme, but I think that'll be a good month for me to just kind of catch up, recenter, refocus on what my reading goals were for the year and to make sure I'm on track for that, and if not, to set myself back on course. September kicks off Hispanic History Month, so I want to make sure that I'm reading from the majority of Hispanic authors during that month. October, I'm setting aside for spooky reads or spooky season type books, which I'm very excited about. I love that time of year and that style of content. November is both Nonfiction November and Native American Heritage Month, so I will definitely be reading some books by Native American authors and some nonfiction books as well. And then December will just be my catch up, cram for all the goals I didn't hit yet, or kind of mood reading, whatever I'm feeling like month for the year. So that's kind of what I'm thinking as far as my kind of channel plans and TBR, and I'm going to make those mesh as well as I can with the reading goals that I already set out in my other video. So that's pretty much it. This was a short video, but I do want to check in with myself every month and make sure that I am on track and working towards these things, because I think it'll just be a really fun to kind of keep up with these themes as a way to direct the books that I already want to read. I'm not going out of my way to fulfill these themes that I've set for myself. There are hundreds of books that I have on my TBR that I want to read, and so I'm just selecting books from the TBR that already meet the themes that I've set out for myself. So it's not like I'm reading books I didn't already want to read. I'm just focusing my TBR a little bit and challenging myself to do that. So that'll be really fun. Anyway, I hope that your January has gone really well and that you haven't fallen off your resolution wagon yet. And if you have, that's totally fine. Set yourself a new goal and keep trucking along. You've got this. I'll see you in the next video.